Hello everyone and welcome back to Weekly China Recap. I'm Xing Zheming. This week we take you to the heart of China's economy on the screens, where a long-awaited policy shift is breathing new life into the country's film and television industry. The Signal, a newly released set of guidelines from China's top broadcast regulator, a document that's dubbed the Radio and Television 21 Measures. This is probably the biggest reform in China's TV regulation in over a decade. It's a move to liberalize content creation, streamline oversight, and adapt to a fast-evolving media landscape, one where traditional television is fighting to stay relevant in a mobile-first, algorithm-driven era. The National Radio and Television Administration, or NRTA, has officially lifted several long-standing restrictions on domestic dramas. Most notably, the 40-episode cap is gone, and the mandatory one-year spacing between serialized seasons has been scrapped. For an industry long boxed in by administrative sittings, this is more than policy relief. For the first time in years, long-form productions, especially historic sagas, IP-heavy franchises, and time-spanning epics, will no longer need to divide stories simply to meet a numerical limit. And it doesn't stop there. Other highlights from the 21 measures include trial implementation of review-as-you-air models, enabling faster interactive approvals for serialized content. A green light for the localized adaptation of foreign IP, including drama, animation, and documentaries from beyond China's borders, and a formal invitation for high-quality micro-dramas, those born on mobile, to migrate to television screens. The timing is no accident. After years of regulatory tightening, from the cap on historical dramas to strict episodic quotas and content audits, China's traditional TV industry has faced shrinking output, audience migration, and commercial fatigue. According to industry data, total new episodes released dropped 14% last year. Producers once focused on flagship titles began drifting toward short-form mobile content, where returns were quicker and oversight looser. Meanwhile, short video platforms saw an explosion in bite-sized storytelling, pulling both viewers and ad dollars away from the prime-time screen. The 21 Measures is Beijing's answer to this pressure, a strategic pivot toward revival, not retreat. The industry's response? Immediate and exuberant. Stock prices for major film and television companies surged on the announcement. Analysts point to a clear message: confidence is returning not just for investors, but for storytellers who now see institutional support, not institutional constraint, as the dominant theme. And this resurgence is not confined to television alone. Over the summer, China's box office smashed past the 10 billion yuan milestone, powered by a diverse slate of domestic hits. Titles from art house dramas to animated fantasies pulled in massive crowds and demonstrated just how hungry audiences are for original, local, and emotionally resonant content. More than 150 films across genres hit the screen this summer, from comedy and war films to animated adventures. Over 260 million moviegoers showed up, and notably, 4 of the top 5 summer blockbusters were Chinese-made. What's emerging is a broader service sector upswing, with cultures at its core. In 2024, China's services industry grew by over 5%, and building on that momentum, 2025 has seen standout contributions from sectors like entertainment, tourism, and hospitality. Add to that the Suqiao phenomenon, a provincial football league in Jiangsu that against all odds became a nationwide sensation. With attendance regularly topping over 30,000 and over 38 billion yuan in multi-scenario consumption generated across the province, it's clear that content doesn't just entertain, it activates entire economies. As consumers spend on films, shows, games, and sports, the feedback loop between culture and commerce grows tighter, and so does the case for sustained policy support. What we are witnessing is a cultural and commercial reawakening. One part deregulation, one part creative surge, one part grassroots consumption. And the screens, big or small, is becoming a key site of this transformation. So yes, the 21 measures feels like a breath of fresh air. It signals an effort to rebuild confidence and inject vitality back into a sector that has been cornered for too long. But let's be clear, while the new policy loosens restrictions, it still skirts the most essential question: how to reconcile what the public actually wants to watch with what the authorities want to tell. Until that balance is struck, the industry's revival risks being only partial. At the same time, this policy shift ties into something larger. China's government is working overtime to boost domestic consumption and energize the services sector. But real growth won't come from slogans or state-backed companies weighed down by bureaucracy. It will come from letting the private sector do more, innovate more, and take risks. That's how you create the cultural products that people actually want to pay for, and the jobs and spending that ripple out across the economy. If Beijing is serious about turning content into capital, then deregulation must go hand in hand with market liberalization. Creativity can't thrive in half shadows. Consumers need income, companies need space, and storytellers need trust. The coming months will show whether the 21 measures is the start of genuine reform or just another headline. That's all for this edition of Weekly China Recap. I'm Xing Zheming. Thank you for joining me. If you found today's show insightful, feel free to share it with your network. And if you find a policy trend or a story you'd like us to unpack next, drop me a message. Until next time, stay sharp, stay informed. Goodbye.